Have you ever looked someone in the eyes and known, without a doubt, they were lying? Or felt that strange guilt in your stomach after telling a lie yourself, even a small one? Here's the truth. Lying isn't just something that bad people do. It's something we all do every single day. From avoiding awkward conversations to protecting our egos or sparing someone's feelings, deception is one of the most complex and most human behaviors we engage in. But why do we lie? What happens in the brain when we twist the truth? And how can you tell when someone isn't being honest, even when they sound convincing? Today, on Issues Uncovered, we're diving into the psychology of lying, why we do it, how it develops, and how to recognize the signs when someone is bending reality right in front of you. Let's start with something surprising. Most people lie within the first 10 minutes of meeting someone. These aren't always malicious lies. Often they're subtle shifts, exaggerating an interest, downplaying a weakness, or saying something just to be liked. This is called impression management, and it starts early. The average child begins to lie between the ages of 2 and 5. At first, these lies are clumsy. A child denies eating a cookie with crumbs still on their face. But by the time they're 7 or 8, they've developed more nuanced strategies. They begin to understand how to shape a story based on what the other person wants to hear. This tells us something crucial. Lying is learned, and it's deeply strategic. From an evolutionary point of view, deception served a purpose. In early human groups, lying helped individuals gain access to resources, avoid punishment, and influence social dynamics, all without physical confrontation. It was a tool for survival. And it's not just humans, some animals lie too. Certain birds fake injuries to lure predators away from their nests. Some monkeys use false alarm calls to scatter rivals and steal food. But while animals deceive in limited, instinctive ways, humans lie about abstract ideas, identities, emotions, and social structures. That's what makes human deception so powerful and so complicated. Psychologists have identified a range of reasons people lie, and most fall into a few core categories. One of the most common is to avoid punishment. This starts in childhood and often continues into adulthood. A person denies breaking a rule, hiding a mistake, or bending the truth to avoid consequences. Then there's lying to protect one's self-image. People exaggerate their skills, downplay failures, or tell stories that make them look better than they are. Social media has amplified this, making it easier than ever to curate a false version of ourselves for public consumption. Others lie to gain an advantage, getting a job, winning approval, avoiding responsibility, or manipulating an outcome. Some lies are told to protect others. These are the so-called white lies, told to spare someone's feelings or maintain peace. People also lie to avoid conflict, saying "I agree" when they don't, or staying silent to keep the peace. Then there are lies told for belonging. We may claim to like something we don't, or hide aspects of ourselves just to fit in. And finally, some people lie out of habit. They've done it for so long that it becomes automatic, even when it serves no clear purpose. But behind nearly every lie is an emotion. Fear, shame, guilt, insecurity, pride, these are the real drivers of deception. We lie because we're scared of being rejected. We lie because we want to be seen as more successful, more attractive, more competent than we feel inside. We lie because we're afraid that telling the truth will cost us something. And here's where it gets even more complex. When we lie, our brain actually works harder than when we tell the truth. It has to suppress the facts, invent an alternative version, remember the details, monitor our tone, watch the listener's reaction, and manage anxiety. Brain imaging shows that lying activates the prefrontal cortex, responsible for decision-making and morality, the amygdala, which processes fear and guilt, and the anterior cingulate cortex, which detects internal conflict. It's a full cognitive workout, and yet the more we lie, the easier it gets. Studies show that repeated lying desensitizes the brain. Over time, the amygdala becomes less reactive, and lying produces less emotional discomfort. In other words, lying becomes neurologically easier the more we do it. This is where we enter the territory of compulsive and pathological lying. Compulsive liars lie habitually, often for no clear reason. They may lie even when the truth would be easier. The lies aren't always harmful, but they are constant. Pathological liars, on the other hand, lie deliberately and consistently. Their lies are often grandiose or manipulative. They may lie to gain power, control, or admiration, and they may even begin to believe their own falsehoods. Both forms of chronic lying can be tied to deeper psychological issues, including personality disorders like narcissistic or antisocial personality disorder. But even people without a clinical diagnosis can become entangled in lying patterns that damage relationships, erode trust, and harm their sense of self. Culture also plays a role in how we lie and how we judge lies. In some societies, particularly collectivist cultures, lying to preserve group harmony is seen as more acceptable. Avoiding conflict, softening the truth, or withholding information to protect another's dignity is common. In more individualistic cultures like the US, truth-telling is often valued even when it causes discomfort. This doesn't mean one culture lies more than the other. It just means the function of lying is different. What's considered polite in one culture may be seen as deceptive in another. Understanding this helps us approach lie detection with nuance, not judgment. So how can we tell when someone is lying? While there's no universal lie detector, psychologists have identified a number of behavioral clues that, when combined, can suggest deception. One of the biggest indicators is inconsistency. A liar's story may change subtly over time. They may forget earlier details or struggle to keep the narrative straight. Another common sign is overcompensation. Some liars provide too much detail in an effort to sound convincing. Others become vague and evasive, avoiding specifics that could expose them. Changes in voice pitch, hesitation, overly formal speech, and repeating questions before answering are also potential signs. Body language matters too. Micro-expressions, those fleeting facial movements that reveal real emotion, can betray someone trying to mask the truth. A person might smile but show tension around the eyes, or they might nod yes while saying no. Liars also tend to fidget less than we expect. Instead of looking nervous, they may freeze, knowing that movement can draw suspicion. But the most important clue? A deviation from a person's baseline. If someone suddenly behaves differently, emotionally or physically, when discussing a certain topic, it could indicate they're not being honest. Of course, it's important to remember that none of these signs prove someone is lying. Honest people can look nervous. Deceptive people can seem calm. The best lie detectors don't rely on one cue. They look for clusters of inconsistencies over time. They pay attention to context, to patterns, and to how a person behaves when stakes are high. And those stakes can be massive. History is full of lies that changed the world. Richard Nixon's Watergate denial, Lance Armstrong's years of performance-enhancing drug denial, Elizabeth Holmes' billion-dollar biotech deception. These weren't slip-ups. They were sustained, strategic lies maintained over years. They relied on charisma, control, and the belief that the truth could be buried under enough confidence and repetition. But not all lying is catastrophic. Some of it is habitual, subtle, or even well-intentioned. And yet all lies carry a cost. The more we lie, the harder it becomes to stop. Lies compound. One untruth often requires another to keep it hidden. The more we lie to others, the harder it is to be honest with ourselves. Over time, lying creates emotional distance. It weakens relationships, it erodes credibility, and perhaps most importantly, it fractures the connection between who we are and how we show up in the world. There's also a personal cost. Chronic liars often live with anxiety, paranoia, or shame. They may struggle to form close bonds. They may lose touch with who they are. Because when you lie often enough, you start to become the lie. You begin to question your own truth, and that kind of internal disconnection is one of the heaviest burdens a person can carry. So what's the solution? The answer isn't just to spot lies in others. It's to reduce the need to lie in the first place. That starts with creating safe spaces for honesty. Environments where people can admit mistakes, express vulnerability, and tell the truth without fear of punishment or rejection. It also starts with you, recognizing your own lying patterns and asking what they're really protecting you from. So the next time you find yourself tempted to lie, pause. Ask yourself, what am I trying to avoid? What am I afraid they'll think of me if they knew the truth? And is the temporary relief of a lie worth the long-term cost of carrying it? Because when you strip everything else away, fear, pride, shame, most lies are rooted in the belief that the truth isn't good enough. But it is, you are. And the truth, however uncomfortable, is the only thing strong enough to build a life on. This has been Issues Uncovered. If you found today's exploration meaningful, subscribe for more deep dives into the behavior and beliefs that shape our world.